Well, happy Thursday. Thanks for joining me to a craft night with friends. My name is Alyssa Thomas from Penguin and Fish, where we make cute embroidery kits for beginners. And I'm here every weeknight, Monday through Friday at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. And it's a time that we can relax and craft together. So, all right, tonight we are finishing our letter C, our cat embroidery. We just have a little bit of the satin stitch left. And then we are going to start prepping it for quilting. We'll prep this one and the letters A and B for quilting a little bit tonight. And I'm hoping that we can start sewing, or at least sew it tomorrow. I got all my stuff ready to start quilting. We're doing the quilt as you go process, which means we can quilt these at a smaller scale before we have a whole giant quilt. And that's going to be just like a fun process as we work on this project this year. So first, let's finish this embroidery, and then we'll get going on that. All right, hello everyone, pop it in. All right, I'm going to zoomy y'all right on down here. Okay. So this is where we left off. Let's straighten you guys out there. Okay. So we are just about done. We just have this tiny little bit of the small letter C left. And that's really it for the embroidery. I do want to start assembling this, though, to quilt, and we will go over that process a little bit tonight. I do have to cut fabric for the backing, but I want to kind of show you what my plan is first. But first, let's finish stitching this. So I'm going to just take the needle minder off. It could stay there, but I kind of like having it next to me instead. Oh, and I was just showing how to use a needle threader. I got asked earlier today, I think on Facebook, how to use it. And so the basic anatomy of it is that it has this wire coming out, which is very thin, but it's also like stiff. It doesn't flop around like, you know, how floss does or thread. So it's much easier to put into the eye of the needle, and that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to put it in the eye of the needle. There we go. So then the needle's just going to kind of dangle here, and then there's this diamond. I don't know if you guys can see that, but the metal forms a little diamond, and in that diamond is where we're going to place the thread. And I don't even have this like clean cut or anything. That's what's kind of nice about it. Because that diamond is so large, and we can actually kind of press on it to make it even larger, it's just way easier to put floss in there than straight into the needle. So now I got the floss going through that diamond, and then my needle's just hanging here. I'm going to now pull the needle back over the metal, and that's going to pull the floss through, and then I can just keep pulling till the floss is free, and that's it. That's all there is to it, to a needle threader. So if you're having trouble threading your needle, they definitely work nicely. I think these ones are just super duper cute. They got like the little flower on it, and these ones even come with a little cutter on the end. So, you know, I'm like, I don't want to waste my thread here, but I'll cut a little piece off. It's just got like a tiny blade in there, so it's nice for like airplanes and stuff. So there we go. But I had that out, and so I thought I'd share that. So I have just barely any more floss on here from last night, but enough to get a few stitches in. So we're doing this kind of radial satin stitch, and I think it's turning out pretty nice. I've put a lot of spokes in, and that's just really so I can make these angle shifts easier. Like, it's easier to eyeball it when the next one is so close. So I'm basically going in the middle of one of those spaces and then filling it in around, whether it's like 1 or 2 stitches. Sometimes I gotta get my needle in there to guide me a little bit. And then we'll get this side. This side looks like it just needs 1. I did mess up a little bit when I did my initial stitches. I feel like I went on the inside of my drawn line, and usually you want to kind of go just a hair on the outside for satin stitch, so you're covering up your line. I kind of just went on the line. But there we go. Let's just finish filling this guy in. I am excited to get going on this whole quilting process. So we'll be doing the quilt as you go process for this quilt. And so I'm hoping on days like today and tomorrow, when we will have finished an embroidery early, we can fill the rest of the week up with some quilting, which means I'll have to have my like sewing machine here at the ready, but that's fine. Oh yeah, Amy says, I bet you could take that threader cutter on the airplane, the needle threader cutter on the airplane too. I suspect you can. I have not actually tried that yet because I haven't flown since getting them, but I have no idea like why that wouldn't be allowed. That would be super duper silly. Yeah, Kimberly, this is working really well for the satin stitch. So normally I wouldn't put that many little guideposts in, but since we are trying to do this like radial, like we're kind of like trying to keep the angles moving, it's tricky to do that just with the naked eye, I guess. So we drew them in first with pencil, which is really kind of easy. We went like top to bottom and then sideways and then like an angle and an angle, kind of using, you know, the kind of like a fake center point. And that seemed to work really well. And then we just filled in the gaps. All right, this is my last stitch. I gotta get a new piece of thread. Actually, I think maybe I can get one more. I think the satin stitch is a little wonky. I think the large letter C is much better, but that's okay. All right, I'm going to weave in that end. And then we will get another 3 pieces of thread, of floss here. I do have oh, where'd my needle threader go? There. Or my needle minder, I mean. I have a tiny little piece of that green left, but I don't know. Is this enough, do we think? Let's give it a go. This might be just enough for the rest of this. That'd be kind of cool. It'd be super annoying, though, if it wasn't enough. Oops, wrong side. I'm like, where is the eye? On the other side. So this is my normal way of threading, just with the pinch method. All right, let's see if we can eke out all these stitches. So I'm going to weave in the end first. Here's my away knot from earlier. Maybe if we have to eke out like one more stitch, we could use that. Okay. Yeah, this is a little wonky. Maybe we can fluff out some of these stitches a little bit. My error was, like I said, at the beginning when I just kind of didn't go far enough with the inside of the shape. I should have just gone a hair over the line, but I forgot. Oh, thank you, Nina. I appreciate that. All right, let's go halfway through this one again. Really just like I'm literally just doing this so I can get those angles, like moving one angle to the next angle. And like I said, if I was doing these all vertical, I wouldn't have put hardly any of these spokes in. Just enough to keep my lines straight. Whoop. Let's get that guy in here. I'm not sure I need one right there. I'm going to skip to the next bit up here. Just because now on my mind is like, ugh, do I have enough thread here? So if I can get away with just like one stitch instead of 2, I'm going to give it a go. Although this one I think I might need 2. No, that's not bad. Now we're on a roll. All right, I'm getting excited to do this quilting though. I got the machine out, and I got another one of those slider mats. I forget what they're called. Remember, I had got one before and it was all cut up when I opened it. So I returned it and I got a new one, although I haven't checked this one yet. And maybe I should have, because I think I have it. I've had it for a little while already. But we'll see. I was going to do a little video on what Quilt As You Go was, but I haven't done that quite yet. All right, I think I probably need like 8 more stitches on this thing, and I don't know if I'll have enough. Let's just get 2 in here. Maybe I have enough. We'll get 2 in here. I think we're just going to have just enough. Yay, thread chicken. I know it's going to be really close, but I have like this other little piece here that I could, I think, eke out like at least one more stitch. But I think we're golden. All right, yeah, I just think 2 more stitches here and that's it. And we have just enough for that. Yay, so good. So I didn't have to cut a new piece of thread and I got to use up a scrap. That's how I want this whole project to go. But there we go. I think that actually turned out a little bit better. I feel like that little bit that we did there was like a warm-up. It got better as we got to the end there. So let's just weave in that end and then we are done with the kitty. So, I'm going to actually get my iron on because we might press some of these. But I kind of want to talk about the quilt plan. I will have math to go along with it. I'm thinking hopefully by Monday. All right, let's weave in this end. But I can show you, I have a drawing. And I actually, I made it a coloring page, so if you wanted to, we're gonna share that for free on the website. And so if you wanted to do this quilt the same way that I'm gonna do it, you can like test colors out and stuff. Oh, the slider mat, that's not what it's called. It's called like the super slider or something, right? It's something that'll stick on my extension table for my sewing machine, and theoretically it's supposed to make quilting like smoother. Like the actual motion, like it won't, like your fabric won't get stuck or stall or anything like that. I don't know. I thought I'd give it a try. People love it, and I'd like to test it out. Oh, Amy says, you usually have a little evil laugh when you win thread chicken, like, heh, gotcha that time, floss. All right, so here he is. I still really like the colors that we picked for this one. So here's the original, again, from the original pattern. It had like the little blue or the purple and just a little bit brighter colors, and we added a whole other color here, the light blue. I don't know, I just like how it turned out here. So all right, let's take that out of the hoop. Well, and then for next week, we'll be doing another one of these. Next week is the letter D, and I saw someone on the Facebook group already like made it. So here is, ooh, it's shiny in the light there. Sorry about that. So letter D for dog. So cats and dogs this month for our embroideries. So let's see where we're at now. I'm going to just get some of this stuff out of the way. All these fellers can just go in my tray. So here's my little strawberry tray. I'm just going to throw that behind me, but I love this. You can just throw everything on there. I'll throw my, I might need that. I'm going to leave the scissors out here. But everything else I'm just going to put behind me because I'm going to want some space here. All right, let's throw this behind me to the rest of the patterns. Okay, so I got this guy, and we have the letter B, butterfly, and the letter A, the alligator here. So these are our 3 that are ready to quilt. So here's my plan. I made it into a little coloring sheet, so we'll be posting this probably later this week or which is like tomorrow, or early next week. But it's our ABC Stitch Along quilt. So this is my layout that I'm gonna do. So I've kind of talked about this, but I haven't showed a picture of it. So I'm gonna do the letters in this order. So it'll be 30 blocks total, but since there's only 26 letters of the alphabet, I am putting 4 different corners in there. So ultimately, once it's sewn into the quilt, each of these blocks are going to be 8 inches, and I'll have all this math later when we post. We're going to do a blog post where you can download this, and then it'll have all the math if you want to make it how like I'm making it. So this will actually be cut down to 8 inches. Right now it's around 10 and a half-ish. But I'm going to quilt it first. And what I mean by that is I'm going to take a piece of batting that's like the 10 inches, and this is going to go on top. I'll press it first. And then I'm going to take a background fabric as well, and I'll show you that in a sec here. I'm going to take a background fabric, and we'll have those 3 pieces together, and I'm actually going to quilt it, meaning like sewing it all together. So I will have like a perfectly sewn together square when I'm done here. We will trim it to 8.5 inches. So once it's sewn in the quilt, it'll be 8 inches. So we're going to cut it to 8.5 inches after it's quilted. And we'll have one of these for every letter of the alphabet. Right now we just have 3, but we will have more. And then we're going to assemble them, the totally quilted pieces. We're going to assemble them using the quilt as you go process. And we'll talk more about that when we get going here. But first, all you really need to know is that we're going to be actually quilting these little tiny little bits, which will allow us to like practice fun designs, and we don't have a whole giant quilt that we're dealing with at the same time. So anyway, so this is my plan. So these 3 will actually be next to each other up here. The sashing pieces are only going to be 1 inch thick. And they are going to be part of our quilt as you go process. So we don't actually have to actually deal with our sashing pieces quite yet either. All I'm concerned about is the individual letters and us quilting those. But as we go along here over the next few months, we will start assembling our rows and everything. And I have to pick what's going to go on our corners. So those could be just a plain fabric, or it could be like we could stitch something else, and I could just leave that up in the air because I can just sew these 3 together using the quilt as you go process, and we can just do those like near the end if we really want. So keep your mind on what might be good for the 4 corners as we go along here. So the backing fabric I'm going to use, I'm going to actually use all of the same backing fabric. I went through my stash. This is some flannel. I don't know, it's kind of like some weird flannel that we actually, this is my fabric. I think this might be from our first fabric line, and it never got produced. So this was a sample, like the manufacturer just didn't like how the flannel came out, and it is a little bit weird. It's not what you'd expect of a flannel. It's like not as soft, and the designs are a little hard to see, but I think it's actually just cute enough for this project. I think it would make a great backing. I've been saving it, and I haven't used it for anything. So I thought this would be great for the backing. So I would like to cut some of that now, and theoretically I need 30 pieces. If I'm going to do the same for each for the background on every single block, I'm going to need 30 pieces of this. Oh my gosh, look how cute it is already with the embroidery, like this pale yellow with this. I mean, it'll be the back, so you won't kind of see it. Well, yeah, if it's flopped over, if the blankie's flopped over like this, that's going to look so cute. Okay, I hadn't compared it like that yet, and I think it's going to look nice. So anyway, so I'm going to need 30 10-inch blocks. I think these are 10-inch. Actually, this might have ended up being closer to 11 inches just because that's how it just happened to be cut easily. Yeah, so this is 11 inches. But I think even if we did a little bit smaller for the back, if it ended up being 10 and a half inches, we're going to be fine. Because like I said, ultimately, we're cutting it down to 8.5 inches. So if all that makes sense. But so I'd like to do some prep tonight. I do already have 30, I think I have some extra too, pieces of my batting cut. I cut that when I was at my parents' house because my mom and I are sharing a giant, like, king-size roll of batting. So last time I was home, we cut that, but I didn't cut any backing fabric yet. So that's what I'd like to do tonight. And then I'd like to assemble these with my little curved safety pins. So these are called basting pins or curved safety pins. They're just a safety pin. Oh gosh, they're all tangled. It's just a plain safety pin, but it has a bend in it. So like if we close it, you can see that bend. That makes it easy to go in and out of the fabric. So we're going to use this to hold the three pieces together, the front, the batting, and the back. And then they will be ready to start quilting. And I have the machine set up here, all ready to go. And so tomorrow, for sure tomorrow, we will be quilting the entire time during our session here. So I'm stoked for that. That's pending we get it all prepped tonight, but I think that's doable. So, all right, let's do a little adjusting here. So I'm going to just scooch these out of the way. Let's do some math. I need what did I say, like 30 of these, and I want them like 10 and a half inches. And the selvage is pretty big and kind of icky here, so I'm going to just estimate far away from that. So let's say 11 inches. What are we from the end here? Ugh. Well, what about 10 and a half inches? That'd still be good. So 10 and a half. And then right at the fold. All right, I think we're going to be fine to get 2 out of each. So that's actually 4 because this is folded in half. And like I said, again, this doesn't need to be perfect because I will be cutting it down. Sharon, I'm going to have some real... Sharon's asking, I'm wondering how much fabric I will need for the backing. Don't quote me on this. I will have actual numbers for that. But if you're doing all the same fabric, like you could piece it, like you could have different, 10-inch squares for every single one of your blocks. So it'd be like a fun little pieced back. But if you want all the same color, it's something like... And you have like 44-inch wide fabric. It's close to like needing 3 yards, I think. That's just off the top of my head. I do have actual math for this, and I will be getting that together. Kimberly is asking, am I going to cut all 30 backing pieces now? I'd like to, and maybe like an extra. So this is, how would I say? We get 4 out of this. Okay, math people. That's like 8 would give me 32. So I need like 8 cuts. That makes sense, right? I think that's real math. All right. Yeah, because that'll give me 32, and I only really need 30. All right, that's what I'm going to do. So let's do 8 cuts of this. I'm not going to press it or anything now, but I think that'd be good. So I'm going to scooch you guys up here. Look, I even have the sewing machine here, and TikTok, I'm gonna do that. Oh, sorry, Nina, I can see you for sure on TikTok. Sorry, I'm also on Facebook and I'm on YouTube, so I'm responding to comments on all 3. I do try and say what the person's asking beforehand, but yeah, it's because I'm on like 3 different places right now. But I can totally see you, Nina, for sure. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have over there for sure too. All right, this is actually, well, I'm going to do it on this folded side. And you know what? I actually don't know if I have enough of this fabric for 8 cuts. So we'll just see. Okay, let's get this filler out. Ugh, which just barely fits. So this is going to be a pile of annoying tonight, but we're going to get it. And this is good prep for this project here. I think this is going to be just the right fabric. This is literally was like trash. This was a sample piece of fabric that they just, or a sample bolt, and they just never went with it, and they actually just didn't want me to show it or anything like that, so it's just been sitting in some bins for years and years, and I'm like, you know what? I don't work with them anymore, and I should start using this stuff, so here it is, fabric that never got made. We did print some of this, though, with normal quilting cotton, with a different, like, background color and a little bit different size and stuff. All right, I'm going to have to scooch just a hair this way so I can get my arm through here. All right, let's go. I'm nervous. I feel like I haven't cut fabric in a while. Oh, and we're not completely over, I don't think. Oh yeah, we're just right here. Good, good. Got my cutting glove on. Way across. Big stretch. Okay. And I guess we didn't really decide. It was going to end up being closer to, you know what, I'm going to cut 11 inches. I know it's going to not be perfectly square, but I think the 11 inches is going to be closer to what I have for batting, and I think it's just going to make our life a little bit easier. And then I don't have to measure half-Z's either. So let's just do 11. I know the width isn't going to be perfectly 11. We'll cut that like 10 and a half. Ooh, that just made me nervous. I didn't do my normal like counting to 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yep, okay. Just counting the ruler. All right, so I'm going to just put these behind me. I think this is actually going to go pretty quickly. Usually this sort of thing just takes forever, I feel like, but I think this is going to be okay. So I'm going to try not to distort the fabric too much because I want to keep this cut edge as my cut edge. And you know what? Again, I don't need to worry about that. I don't know why I'm worrying about that because we're going to be cutting it down to 8.5 inches. So I could cut this by hand and we'd be okay. So let's just get her done. So I'm going to get it roughly to the edge here because like I said, we're cutting it down anyway. I gotta remember, this doesn't need to be perfect. We'll cut it a little bit closer on the cross cuts just because I do need to be a little bit more exact. 2. Yeah, this is some weird printing. Well, I'm happy it's getting used. Poor little fabric never got made. So I've been thinking more about doing fabric again. I don't know. I think it'd be kind of fun. We talked about it the other night because I have all those little florals now. Those would be really cute as little patterns. I guess the first step of that is designing a collection. So if there's something you'd like to see for fabric, let me know, and we'll design a collection. That's 3. So the other thing I'm going to have to pay attention to when I quilt this is that, I gotta move all of this. All my designs on the table here are going to be shushed off the table soon. But this is directional fabric, so when we're putting our pieces together, I'm going to want to keep my eye on that so they all end up being upright or all mix and match on purpose, but I think I'm going to go for upright. So one extra thing I'm going to have to pay attention to. Oh, it's the... Oh, I can't see the chat. Can you see me? Yes. Or use on the back of a baby quilt. Well, that's exactly, I think, what we're doing, Kath. So I actually have this in green as well. So I do want to make some baby quilts out of it. It's the backing. Oh, yeah. So this is going to be the backing. Exactly. So this is going to be the backing of our little ABC embroidered quilt. We have the A, the B, and the C done. We just finished the C a little bit earlier tonight. Let's see, is this number 4? Okay, 4, halfway done. And we will be turning those little embroideries into what pretty much will be a baby quilt. It's going to be, I forget the final size. Well, the blocks are going to be about, let's call them 8 inches, with the sashing is another ½ inch. So let's just say 8 inches by 5. That's 40 inches. Add another couple inches for the sashing. Let's just call it 43 inches, I think. So what's that in feet? 48 inches is 4 feet. So this will be just shy of 4 feet and then a little bit taller. So let's call it less than 4 feet by 5 feet. So that's kind of a large baby blanket, but a small lap blanket, I think. So I think just about right. Okay, that was 5. We're for sure going to have enough fabric here, I think. This is, I'm so happy we're using this. I went down to check all my fabric in the basement just to like pick out what might work, and I thought, maybe I'll do them all different fabrics. But then I saw this, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe I can just use that, and it can all be the same backing fabric. That might make it easy. So that's what we're going with. I'm not going to cut the strips in between the blocks yet, Kimberly. Kimberly's asking, are you going to cut the strips in between the blocks? 1.5 inches, so there's a real inch seam. So no, I'm cutting them 1 inch, and then it'll actually be a ½ inch seam. So it's the exact same way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, wait, I have 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I only need 2 more. It's the same way we're doing the Splendid Sampler 2 quilt. So we'll just have those little 1/2 inch or 1 inch pieces, because then when we lose the seam allowances, that's kind of how we're connecting these blocks and still having, then the batting will meet up. I know that's not really explaining it well, but I'm sure there's other ways to do the quilt as you go process, but the way that we are doing it with the Splendid Sampler 2 quilt works when you do 1 inch strips that turn into 1/2 inch strips once they're sewn in. All right, this is 7 and 8, and I think just 2 extra blocks is enough, right? I don't need to cut a whole extra one. I think we'll be fine with 8. Because I was thinking of maybe having a practice one just hanging out, so we could just do practice quilting with it. So if I have 32 blocks, then I'll have an extra one for that still. So I think we're still good with just 8 cuts. And this is it. This is 8 right here. And dang, I still have extra. That's good to know. Ooh, almost didn't put my glove on. Freaks me out. Freaks me out not wearing one. Okay, Justin's saying, for hand sewing the quilt, please, do you recommend the same material? What batting are you using to create a book? Do we add interfacing for the structure? I don't know. Chances are I will use the same batting, although maybe I won't use batting for the book. You know, the book, you could use just like a flannel for the back, because then it won't be so thick. So maybe for the book I won't. I've never made one before. Let's start there. So it's all theoretical. In my head, doing an alphabet book. But now that I'm just thinking about it, since you asked, maybe I won't put batting in there, because then it won't be so fat when folding it up. So yeah, so just like maybe a flannel, a soft flannel would be really pretty. Thinking about it. Yeah, I mean, I think that's maybe a good idea. All right, let's cross-cut this. So I'm going to rotate my mat here. And I'm going to just snip off these folds just right at the fold. And let's do a couple at once. This is kind of a little thicker. And for hand quilting, I don't know about the flannel like this, but you know, I don't see why it wouldn't work. But the quilting weight fabric and batting, that worked from the little hand quilting I've done, that seemed to have worked well so far for me. But you could always get like a couple little pieces and give it a go. So I'm just going to trim these little ends off as close as possible. Okay. And now let's see what we got left. And like I said, these selvages are pretty large. They go about right here. So that's at 21 inches. So yeah, we're going to do these at 10 and a half. Although the selvages don't matter because we're going to be cutting those off as we quilt too, right? Yeah, that's not going to matter so much. So I'm going to cut, let's do 10 3/4. Close to 11. All right, so then here I would go like 21 and a half. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so it doesn't matter if I have a little selvage on the end because these will get cut down to 8.5 inches yet. So yeah, see, so I'll have a little selvage, but I didn't want all that fuzzy stuff on. There, so we're fine. So here's our first batch. And we'll have, yeah, so this should be 8, right? 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, see, there's a little selvage, but that's gonna get chopped off later. So this is working out great. So all right, that's here's what I have left of that from the bolt there. So that's nice. A big chunk left there, and you guys are gonna live up here. Let's get our next batch. I'm just kind of doing 2 at a time just to make sure I can get that little edge cut off. I want to preserve as much over here as I can. Oh, I'm just so happy that I'm getting all this cut already tonight. So like I said, I'll have like real measurements for you soon, but and I am cutting these bigger than what I need to because we're quilting them, and then we'll be trimming them. And that's just from the experience of working on the Splendid sampler too, because we had so many of those blocks after quilting, like they get like sucked in a little bit from the batting and just the thickness and like any bunching. Ugh, this isn't over the edge. And all that. So I wish I had larger blocks on all of those that I could have cut down. So that's why we're starting big. It will be, you know, theoretically we're going to be losing an inch or so on all the sides, so we're kind of wasting fabric if you're thinking about it like that. But just to be able to do this quilt as you go process, I think is going to make this whole project more enjoyable. Yeah, there's some like little flaws in this fabric too a little bit, so I actually might put that one aside right away. This will be our little practice piece. All right, and cut this selvage off. Oh, you guys can barely see off the grid here. All right. So there's our next batch. So 2 more times and then we're done. And I think we'll still have time to assemble our first 3 designs. plus our little bonus practice piece. And then tomorrow we will be on the actual machine and actually quilting, and I am so excited. It's gonna be fun. And that's what we'll do. Like I said, so we're working on the ABC quilt the first full week of the month and the second full week of the month. And the goal is to stitch one of the animals for the alphabet each of those weeks. But like with this cat embroidery, that went so quickly that we have a couple days left during the week. And those couple days I'd love to fill with quilting. So having all this prepped and ready to go, we'll just move this whole process of this project along really well. So I'm really happy with this fabric. And my last little halvesy cut over here. There we are. Look at these fuzzy little selvages. All right, and one more, and we got our stack. I feel great about this. And then I'll grab a few more pieces. A few more pieces of batting, and we can put these together. You know, the other fun thing, like if you did flannel like this for the book, like if you're gonna make this into a alphabet book, which I think would be still really fun. I might still try and embroider those up and give that a go. But that, if you use flannel, then you can make it like a flannel book almost too. Like you could make extra little shapes and stuff, and they could, stick on the back. Or you could make a little pocket that stores like the little flannel extra characters or something. That'd be fun. All right, just making my last cut here. Okay. Let's scooch these out of the way, and here we go. So here is our stack. So they'll be ready to go when we need them, and we actually need 3 right now. So I'm going to get 3. And then the rest of the stack I'll put away when we're done here. But all right, let's assemble some of these. So I also have my practice one. This one has like a little flaw in, so this is going to be my practice piece. Okay, let's get the embroideries back here. So here's our embroideries. I do want to press them first. Like clearly this one needs it. And I need 3 batting pieces and an extra piece of fabric. So let me grab that right now. Okay, so this is for the practice. You'll notice like the batting that I have, this is that natural, like Nature's Way or something, natural batting. One side has a whole lot of flex and one side doesn't. This side, the non-flecky side, I'm going to put up so we don't see all those flecks through our fabric, like if we did it this way. Well, this is a kind of a natural fabric too, so. But you can see like a little bit of the darkness. Originally I was looking for the bleached kind of this, but I couldn't find it anywhere, so went with the natural, knowing that I would have like all these flecks, but oh well. All right, let's press. Oh, I suppose we should press these too. Get the iron back on. And let's grab a pressing mat. We'll give all this a press, and then we'll assemble, and we'll still have time to do all that tonight. Okay. These don't look like they need much pressing. That's good. They've been rolled up in a bolt for a decade, over a decade. Ooh, this one's a little crunchy though. I think this is just the right colors for this quilt. Okay. It presses really well, that's nice. Did you cut back for the four corners? I did, Linda. So I cut 32 squares. I only need 30, and I'm using one of the extra ones as a practice square to practice quilting on, like maybe like a warm-up square. That's what we should call it. So I'm going to be still left with one extra of these, theoretically. So see here, you can see the selvage on here yet, but like I said, we're going to be cutting it down to 8 inches. Or 8.5 inches, so we're gonna lose that, so I'm not worried about that. Okay, one more of these. There we go. So happy. And now let's get our embroideries, and then this is going to be my bonus one, my practice, my warm-up one. That's what we're calling it. My warm-up quilting piece. All right. Oh, so I didn't, usually I like pressing my embroideries with like a fluffy towel here, but I'm going to just kind of get on the backs of these a little bit. I'm going to try not to squish them too much. How I usually like pressing is having a really fluffy towel, like a bath towel, and then I'll press over the top, and you can really kind of squish in there because like the fluffy terry cloth of the towel, all your stitches will just kind of go into there, and they won't get totally squashed. You won't completely flatten like your French knots and stuff. But we're going to just do what we can on these. And I could maybe spray them with something, but maybe we'll experiment with this as we go. We have a little sample drawing down there, but I think he'll probably be cut off. And if not, that's fine. Be kind of funny with those little extra bits on. Okay, here's our butterfly. So I don't think we ever pressed these, and you can't see much of the hoop line. So these relaxed quite a bit after we took them out, just from them just hanging out, I think. So we won't have time to do this every week, I don't think, like working on the quilt. So because some of the designs will take us longer, like this butterfly, and I think the alligator took us the whole time maybe. But sometimes we will, and in those times, like this week, are when I really want to push to get some more of the quilting, or at least assembly, like getting blocks together and that sort of thing. Oh, I think this kitty turned out so nice tonight. I'm happy we finished him. Didn't quite finish him last night. Just kind of brushing over him a little bit, not really pushing down. All right, I think that's about how well we're going to get him. So let's just start with this one. So I'm going to get my cutting mat out here again, just so I don't scratch my table. But we are going to get our curved safety pins out again here, and well, let's do it with this one first, so I can show you. So let's have this go upright. It won't matter for this one because we don't have a front for it, but then we're gonna put down a piece of batting. Normally I would tape this down first, like if I was making a larger quilt or something, but this pressed pretty flat, and it's so small that I'm not going to tape it down. I'm going to just lay my batting on top of it with the flex side down, like the side with all the little flecks. And then we're going to put our fabric on top. And I'm going to just put a couple little safety pins, our basting pins, in here. And we'll be quilting a lot on this, so we'll probably be removing these really like as soon as we start. But for now, we'll get a couple in here. I don't really know how many I need. I think maybe I'll leave the corners open and we'll just get like these little sides here. I can always put in more later too if I think it needs it. But what we're doing now is holding all 3 layers of fabric together. Oh, did I mess this up already? Oh no. I thought maybe I had the right side of that back fabric up, but we put it down. Okay, so there we are. It even kind of feels like a quilt already because we have, it has the weight of the fabrics and the batting, and I don't know, it feels nice already. It moves like how the quilt's going to be. So we've basted it, which means we've temporarily held it together, and now this one's all ready to quilt. So we will do this first. This will be our little practice piece. Who knows, maybe it'll end up being one of our corner blocks, but I'm thinking it's just our practice piece. All right, so let's do a real one. So I'm gonna, now this is where I really need to pay attention to have my characters upright because this is directional fabric, meaning if it's upside down, they're all upside down. They're not like tossed, which is when a pattern goes like every which way, so there's no real up or down, but this one does. So I'm gonna flip that so I know that this is up. And then the good side of the fabric is down here. Let's get our batting piece. Lay that on top. Again, I'm not going to tape it down. I think this is just fine. And now we'll get our embroidery. We'll get that right in the middle. Kind of get this as flat as we can. Now this one I may put a few more bits in. So I'm going to go right in his tummy here. And I think we are going to get the sides and the 4 corners. So I don't know how I'm going to quilt any of these yet. But that's kind of the fun of it. We're going to just play and they'll all be different. I don't have like a big master plan of like one pattern that I'm going to quilt this with. It's just going to be playful and we'll practice and I think it'll be fun. So I'm starting from the center and kind of like stretching, not really stretching, but smoothing the fabric out towards the outside. That's way more important when you're doing a really big quilt. Then you really want to be smoothing from the center out, and that's when you do want to have a bigger piece of batting and a bigger piece of backing fabric, because as you spread it out, that inside piece might be getting bigger and bigger. So we have a little time left. I am going to try and get all 3 of these done, though. Oh, I can't wait to free motion quilt. So if you are wanting to learn about free motion quilting, or you've never seen free motion quilting done on like a home machine, and I'm using a vintage home machine, like I'm going to use a sewing machine from the 70s. I would call that vintage, not antique. Antique sounds older than the 70s. Anywho, it's just kind of a weird thing. But if you want to learn a little bit about that, we'll be doing that tomorrow. So here's our first piece. Here's what the back will be. Everything looks good. So he's ready to quilt. We're going to have a whole pile. We're going to like have this whole stack ready to go already. That's exciting. I was not expecting to get this far so quick on this quilt. So, oops, I almost put the fabric down, but I need the batting piece first. So the top, I checked that. So it's the top's at the top. This is our pretty one that we colored in with colored pencils. And I'll put a pin right here, I think. Won't go in this guy's belly. Oh, I'm excited for this quilt. I've made a quilt out of these embroideries once before, and that was when I was still kind of designing and stitching the embroideries. We were kind of sewing them into a quilt almost at the same time. So this is like a 10 years later version. Just kind of fun. Thanks for all the likes and smileys and follows, everyone. I appreciate that. That helps get our vids out some more. All right, one more on this guy, I think. Ooh, I'm excited though. And keep your brains open on how, like, some designs I might be able to do with these, because I have no thoughts on that at all yet. Like, we could just go around the shape a bunch of times, or this one might be fun to, like, have a lot of flowers, and he looked like he's flying in the flowers, and I don't know. We'll get to practice all those designs, I think. Oh yeah, this is the same. It is the same alligator as in the pattern, so they did carry over to fabric in a few collections, these little embroidery patterns back in the day. All right, last up, Mr. Alligator. I'm so happy with our progress on this today. I know it doesn't seem like much. I know we just cut fabric and stuff, but just having those pieces ready to go means we're cruising. Ooh, JW says, I want to try free motion quilting on my Treadle machine one day. I bet you that is totally doable. Oh, that sounds exciting. Just a tiny bit more coordination, I'm thinking. Getting the speed right and all that. But well, I don't see why that wouldn't work. Oh man, I love the idea of a treadle machine. We have, I know I've talked about this before, but we have my husband's great-grandma's old Singer that, after some research, it used to be a treadle, but then got converted to have a motor, which is what happened to a lot of the treadles when motors came out. You could adapt a motor onto your older treadle machine. So that's what had happened. But we also have a treadle base, but we got it at some, I don't know, antique place, and someone had converted it to have like a butcher block top. So it's got this old butcher block top on, so it doesn't even have like a nice top to put the put a machine in. I actually think they glued it to the old thing, so we could try and get that off somehow. I don't know how we do that, but anyway, I would love to convert it back to a treadle. I know you can get the belts and stuff for treadle machines, just like on Amazon and other places they exist still, for maintenance and that sort of thing of treadle machines. So someday that'll be a project, converting that back into a treadle machine. We have the parts, theoretically, just needs some work. But there we are, you guys. We have the start of a quilt here. So let's just take a peek. So these will actually, these three will be on the same row, and let's just tuck them in a little bit, because they will be 8 inches instead of the 10 that we have now. So it'll be a little bit more tucked in. Oh, they're just gonna be so sweet and happy all next to each other here. Ah, fun. I just love, this is one of my favorite parts is when it's basted, because it's the first time that it really feels like a quilt. Like I was saying before, it's floppy, it's just pretty, and the weight feels nice. It's just all ready. So, all right, you guys, that is it for the night. I am really happy with how these came out. We got 3 ready to quilt tomorrow, so I do have the machine here and it's ready to go. I've put new thread in it. Oh, that's the other thing. We're going to be quilting this with some bright orange thread, because that's what I got left. I'm trying to use up all of my kind of like quilting thread, my like 50 weight Aurifil thread, and all I have left is like, I'm using the medium bright. So I have a super kind of dark bright orange and a medium bright orange. But I think, especially with this backing, like all of these are going to be really pretty with that orange. But the quilting is really going to show. So that'll be interesting. That's why I wanted to make sure to have a little practice piece too. But I'm excited. So we'll get like free motion quilting tomorrow. We'll be free motion quilting the whole time. I'm thinking it's going to be a lot of fun. So if you want to get in on that, I will be here again tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. And we'll be here for another hour. Kimberly says, careful. I was born in 1960. I hope I'm not an antique. That's what I'm saying. Like antique, it's not an antique machine. It is a vintage machine, and even that sounds a little old for the 70s. That's when this machine is from. So we need a new word for that. Okay, but anyway, guys, thanks again, and I will be here tomorrow at 8:30 Central Time. Good night. Oh, hey, JW. While I'm still on here, I'll show you. Here we go. Hold on a sec. There we go. Just stopping the other lives. So this